Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson are two of the most imposing figures in country music history. Their relationship has endured over the years, and their decades-long chart-topping singles have made an everlasting impression on the music business and won over millions of followers. However, after Kris's death, Nelson has gone clean, with a shocking discovery regarding him, shocking people even more. What lies beyond this icon's smiles? The truths it conceals. Are they meant to enhance his legacy or bring it to an end? Come explore these stunning facts with us and see how they affect Kris Kristofferson's legacy. Kris Kristofferson and Willie Nelson's relationship. Kris Kristofferson and Willie Nelson's long-lasting friendship is based on their shared love of music, their mutual regard for one another, and their many years of collaboration. They were two major players in country music who rose to prominence in the counter-Nashville outlaw country scene of the 60s and 70s. They became closer as a result of their shared experiences and successes, especially in their time as members of the supergroup The Highwaymen, which also included Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings. Nelson was admired for his distinctive voice and adaptability, and Kristofferson, known for his thoughtful and poetic lyrics, mutually enriched one another's creative output. At first, their shared appreciation for one another's talents as songwriters was the glue that held them together. Country music icons like Johnny Cash and Janis Joplin covered Kristofferson's tunes, which helped propel him to stardom, while Nelson's hit singles like Crazy catapulted him to fame. They worked together on several projects, since they were friends and colleagues. Their friendship and musical chemistry shone through on hit songs like Highwaymen by The Highwaymen. There was more to their bond than just music. Sharing the same philosophy and outlook on life, they both prioritized autonomy, originality, and honesty over material achievement. Kristofferson and Nelson have remained close friends through all of the ups and downs in their respective careers. Their friendship is evidence of how much they value one another's abilities and how much they've been through together in the music industry, both the good times and the bad. They were part of a larger movement that revolutionized country music, and as individuals, they have achieved legendary status. Everyone seems to be talking about Kris Kristofferson. Who is he, though? Tell me about his formative years. We'll have to see. Kris Kristofferson's early life. Brownsville, Texas, was the site of Kristoffer Kristofferson's birth on the 22nd of June 1936. His amazing journey and accomplishments were shaped by a combination of opportunity and struggle in his early life. Lars Kristofferson, a general in the United States Air Force, and his wife Mary Ann brought up the eldest of their children, Kristofferson, with a strong sense of discipline and responsibility gleaned from his military background. Eventually settling in San Mateo, California, Kristofferson's family moved about a lot as a kid because of his father's military duty. He enrolled at Pomona College to pursue writing after completing San Mateo High School in 1954. His early works, mostly essays, were well received. The Atlantic Monthly included his works The Rock and Gone Are the Days. Gone Are the Days delves into a racial historical incident, while The Rock depicts a rock formation that resembles a feminine figure. Both artworks reflect Kristofferson's first concerns and ideas. As a young man, Kris showed remarkable talent in the classroom and on the field, but he came into his own as a writer, earning praise for his poems and short tales. Both in high school and while he was a student at Pomona College in California, he was a Golden Gloves boxer and a good football player. He began a difficult summer job on Wake Island, in the Pacific Ocean, with a dredging contractor when he was 17 years old. He said, "It was the hardest job I've ever done," indicating that he considered it his most difficult endeavor to date. However, Kristofferson also had childhood struggles. Although his parents were proud of his accomplishments, they were worried about his growing interest in the arts and his desire to separate himself from his father's military background. After receiving the esteemed Rhodes Scholarship to study literature at Oxford University in England, Kristofferson's family became increasingly distant from him. The acceptance of the scholarship and his subsequent pursuit of his literary ambitions sowed discord among his parents because of his courageous and rebellious decision. As a disavowal of the family's military past and a failure to his expectations, Kristofferson's decision had a disproportionately negative impact on his father. As Kristofferson's artistic endeavors ran counter to his family's traditional beliefs, the chasm between them widened. Kristofferson was able to thrive at Oxford University despite familial strife because he dedicated himself to literature and worked hard to improve his writing. During this period, he started to dabble with songwriting, finding influence in the poetry of William Blake and other great authors. Despite the lack of financial success, his early works showcased his exceptional understanding of poetry and skill in writing complex, emotionally driven songs. After finishing his degree at Oxford, Kristofferson came to a crossroads in his life, torn between his family's expectations and his creative aspirations. In the end, he decided to join the United States Army and follow in his father's footsteps as a ranger and helicopter pilot. It may have seemed counterintuitive at the time, but this choice would come to shape his professional and personal life in ways he never imagined possible a literary career. Kristofferson formed a band with other service members and played on several occasions while in the military, all in an attempt to hone his songwriting skills. In this setting, he first became aware of music's power to bring people together and convey complex concepts. His development as a creative person reached a turning point with this revelation, which set the stage for his subsequent successes as a musician and composer. Kristofferson was awarded the prestigious position of English teacher at West Point Academy, despite his growing love for music, which he pursued throughout his military career. Nevertheless, his impact on the music industry was immediate. Kristofferson's career journey, Kristofferson's professional journey, the ascent of a legend. Kris Kristofferson is well known in the entertainment industry for his powerful performances and gifted songwriting. His heartfelt remarks inspired countless musicians and had a major impact on country and folk music. Kristofferson's remarkable talent and unwavering commitment remain a cherished emblem that is revered and remembered by countless generations. Kristofferson began his professional career in Nashville as a janitor for Columbia Records, where he cleaned restrooms and floors for a living. Even though it wasn't a glamorous career, he was able to make important relationships in the music business via it. He was persistent and dedicated, and as a result, he met famous people like Johnny Cash and June Carter, who would go on to sing his songs. Kristofferson had an exciting and daring life before that of a famous musician. He flew commercial helicopters for 3 years out of Lafayette, Louisiana's Petroleum Helicopters International. During this period of profound change, he frequently reflected on the challenges of juggling his responsibilities as a helicopter pilot with his pursuit of a career in music composition. While he was in Nashville, he would perform for industry heavyweights and work as an emigrant on oil rigs in Louisiana. Kristofferson's time spent flying was a huge influence on his music and lyrics. During this period, he penned 2 of his most famous songs, "Help Me Make It Through the Night," which he wrote while standing on an oil platform, and "Me and Bobby McGee," which he wrote while immersed in the colorful scenery of southern Louisiana. To get his song heard by Johnny Cash, Kris Kristofferson gave it to Carter, who was associated with Cash. Johnny Cash neglected to release the song at first, but he later included it in a collection of unpublished music. Kristofferson wowed Cash following their conversation by bringing his helicopter tumbling down in his yard where the legendary singer was waiting. Despite popular belief, Kristofferson has stated that the image of him showing there with a beer and his songs was overblown. Despite his admiration for Cash's inventiveness, he recognized that his unexpected visit may be perceived as intrusive as he assumed Johnny was probably not there. Kris Kristofferson's ability astounded Cash, and he decided to release Sunday Morning Coming Down, despite the unique circumstances. Thanks to this partnership, Kristofferson was able to solidify his place in the music industry and win the Songwriter of the Year title at the 1970 Country Music Association Awards. When Dave Dudley sang Kris Kristofferson's powerful Vietnam blues in 1966, he received a lot of positive feedback. Kristofferson joined Epic Records the next year and put out the underwhelming single Golden Idol that year. Regardless, his song continued to garner attention as it was covered by a variety of artists in the years that followed. Fast-rising performers like Roy Drusky, Billy Walker, Ray Stevens, Jerry Lee Lewis, Farron Young, and Roger Miller helped propel Kristofferson's music to the pinnacle of popularity. After Johnny Cash endorsed Kristofferson at the Newport Folk Festival, solidifying his image as a talented performer, his performances garnered a great deal of attention. Monument Records' Fred Foster, who oversaw Kristofferson's musical projects, was his boss, and he finally inked a deal with the label. It was a combination of new and previously recorded songs that made up Kristofferson's 1971st album. Despite the album's initial failure, It was re-released in 1971 with the title Me and Bobby McGee, and eventually garnered a lot of appreciation. In the early 1970s, with the successful renditions of his songs by famous artists like Gladys Knight and the Pips, Waylon Jennings, Bobby Bare, Johnny Cash, and Sam Smith, his works were highly sought after. In 1970, Kristofferson's reputation as a gifted composer was cemented when the Academy of Country Music and the Country Music Association lauded his compositions for The Good Times and Sunday Morning Coming Down. In the same year, this man's songs were honored with Song of the Year honors by both the Academy of Country Music and the Country Music Association. Me and Bobby McGee, a song by Janis Joplin from her 1971 album Pearl, was a #1 hit for a while. The song's popularity skyrocketed, and several singers found success by covering it. Kenny Rogers, a legendary figure in country music, recorded many Kristofferson songs in 1969, including Bobby McGee and Me, for the commercially successful album Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town. These CDs showcase Kristofferson's timeless allure and further solidified his standing as a talented songwriter. In 1971, Kristofferson shot to stardom with the smash single Lovin' She Was Easier Than Anything I'll Ever Do Again, which included his song The Silver Tongue Devil, and first appearing in... Although sales were slow at first, Cisco Pike was released in the same year as his third album, Borderland. At the Grammys, Kristofferson's Help Me Make It Through the Night took home the trophy for Country Song of the Year. His 1972 album Jesus Was a Capricorn had sluggish sales until the unexpected success. Why Me sent record sales soaring above 1 million and earned him a gold disc from Raya AA on the 8th of November, 1973. On BBC's The Old Grey Whistle Test in 1972, Kristofferson and Rita Coolidge sang a mesmerizing version of Help Me Make It Through the Night. Their connection was obvious. That same year, legendary soul singer Al Green included a moving cover of For Good Times on his album I'm Still in Love with You. When Kristofferson unexpectedly shifted into acting, he continued to captivate audiences with his emotionally charged songs. Kristofferson's acting career. After following his creative gut, Kristofferson headed west, where he became acquainted with the film business and began an unorthodox acting career. He shifted his focus to acting and appeared in several films, including Cisco Pike alongside Gene Hackman, Bloom in Love with Paul Mazursky, and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid with Sam Peckinpah. His collaborations with Peckinpah and Garcia led to the creation of Bring Me the Head with Alfredo Garcia and Convoy. He co-starred with Burt Reynolds in Semi-Tough and contributed to Martin Scorsese's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Kristofferson won a Golden Globe for Best Actor for his roles in A Star is Born, which he co-starred with Barbra Streisand, Vigilante Force, and The Sailor, who fell from grace with the sea. Kristofferson turned down major parts in William Friedkin's Sorcerer and Hanover Street, a war romance, while he was at the height of his acting career. Despite his prior work with Barbra Streisand, Kris Kristofferson's solo career took a tumble with the financial failure of his 9th album Shake Hands with the Devil. The 1979 two-part film Freedom Road, his subsequent foray into television, was also unsuccessful. In the epic Heaven's Gate, directed by Michael Tomino and starring the great Sheriff James Averill, Kristofferson made an impressive comeback in the 1980s. Though it bombed at the box office, reviewers came around to the picture in the end. After starring with Jane Fonda in 1981's Rollover, Kristofferson's acting career took off. In 1986's The Last Days of Frank and Jesse James, he co-starred with Johnny Cash and displayed his magnetic personality. Along with Keith Carradine and Laurie Singer, he was also cast in 1985's Trouble in Mind. His television debut was in 1987's America, and his credits include Millennium and Steven Seagal's Fire Down Below. John Sayles' 1996 critically acclaimed picture, Lone Star, received an Oscar nomination for Best Screenplay, thanks in large part to Kristofferson's outstanding performance as corrupt lawman, Sheriff Charlie Wade. Blade included Kristofferson and Wesley Snipes as the wise mentors of Abraham Whistler, and Dance With Me had Kristofferson dancing with Cheyenne and Vanessa Williams. In the brutal revenge flick Payback, released in 1999, he worked alongside Mel Gibson. In 2001, With his starring role in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, Sudden Excitement, he made his science fiction debut. After portraying Abraham Whistler in Blade 2, he reprised the role in Blade Trinity. The 2006 film Disappearances featured him and Genevieve Bojold. His acting credits include 2011's Dolphin Tale and 2012's Joyful Noise, a musical drama in which he co-starred with Dolly Parton. He made his acting debut in 2013's The Motel Life and Angels Sing, co-starring Lyle Lovett and Willie Nelson. As he rode the famous roller coaster, Kristofferson's love life was a whirlwind of strong connections and difficult separations, but he never stopped seeking love. Kris Kristofferson's passionate and tragic love life was a jumbled mess of entanglements with the alluring ladies of his day. Kristofferson's marriages. Kristofferson wed Frances Beer, his high school sweetheart, in 1960, the year he graduated from Oxford University. According to an interview Kristofferson gave to Rolling Stone in 1974, in which he reflected on the relationship, the couple believed they could fix things for one another. "We were married, then she became pregnant, my completed book was rejected, and I was left to provide for our family financially." Kristofferson felt an increasing weight of duty as his family expanded. In 1962, they welcomed a daughter named Tracy into the world. 6 years later, Kris Jr. was born. With the brave decision to enlist in 1965, Kristofferson secured a teaching post at West Point and was able to support his family. He made a crucial journey to Nashville to see a pal before getting down to business. The city's thriving music industry ignited his passion for his long-suppressed ambition of becoming a successful songwriter. Kristofferson was oblivious to the fact that this visit would initiate a truly remarkable journey. After recommitting himself, Kristofferson uprooted his family and got work as a janitor at Columbia Records in Nashville. This courageous decision, motivated by his love of music, required him to make substantial concessions, such as taking a pay decrease. After having a son, Kris Jr., who had health problems and racked up $10,000 in medical expenditures, Beer and his wife are understandably concerned about their money. Tensions in the couple's relationship eventually led to their 1969 split. In the late 1960s, while Kristofferson was beginning to establish himself as a composer in Nashville, he had a brief relationship with the famed singer-songwriter Janis Joplin. The untimely death of Joplin in October 1970, when she was 27 years old, brought an end to their intense, as well as brief romantic relationship. The spring of 1970 was the time when Kristofferson and Joplin first became acquainted with one another through their shared acquaintance, Bobby Newport. After Newworth made the suggestion that they travel to California together, Kristofferson finally decided to stay with Joplin at her residence in Larkspur for a couple of weeks. It was during this time that a love connection was initiated. Joplin heard Kristofferson's suggestion that she should record the song Me and Bobby McGee, which was a tune that she cherished. In the moments leading up to her passing, Joplin recorded the song for her album titled Pearl. Kristofferson did not become aware that Joplin had recorded the song until the producer played it for him the day after she passed away. It was incredibly difficult for Kristofferson to deal with listening to her emotional performance, which ultimately led to his breaking down. He has gone on to express his respect for Joplin's abilities and her zeal, expressing his admiration for the energy, emotion, and soul that she poured into all that she accomplished. He referred to her as a magnificent natural force and acknowledged the impact that she had made on the success of the song. Me and Bobby McGee, which was released shortly after Joplin's death, was the only single that reached #1 on the charts. In the early 1970s, Kristofferson continued to attain popularity, and it was around this time that he connected with the singer Rita Coolidge and fell in love with her. Regardless of whether or not they were performing on stage, their relationship was one of harmony and coordination. According to Coolidge's statement from 2016, she believed that she had experienced love at first sight when she first met them. They did not stop talking to one another while they were on a flight to Memphis. In 1973, they officially became husband and wife, and the following year, they became parents to a girl named Casey. Not only did the album Full Moon garner positive reviews, but it also earned many nominations for Grammy Awards. During the year 1979, Kristofferson started on a musical trip that brought him to Havana, Cuba. While there, he participated in the renowned Havana Jam Festival, among other prominent musicians. The performance that Kristofferson gave at Havana Jam, 79 inches from March 2nd to March 4th, together with Coolidge, Stephen Stills, and several Cuban and American musicians, left an impression that will not soon be forgotten. Following that, on November 18th of the same year, Kristofferson and Coolidge performed on The Muppet Show, where they displayed their distinctive combination of rock and country music. In a performance that was both engaging and unforgettable, Kristofferson collaborated with Miss Piggy to perform the song "Help Me Make It Through the Night." Meanwhile, Coolidge sang "We're All Alone" while being joined by a group of other woodland creatures. The audience of the program was left with a lasting memory as a result of the duo's collaboration with the Muppet Monsters on an upbeat rendition of a song that I would want to play in the future. In spite of the fact that both of them had achieved great success in their jobs, the couple's marriage became more tumultuous due to disagreements about their artwork and problems with narcotics. It had been 7 years after they had been married when they made the decision to dissolve their marriage in 1980. Even though they are no longer together, Coolidge continues to hold Kristofferson in high regard. As part of her touching tribute to People magazine, she expressed that the two of them share an unshakable friendship that is founded on a singular sense of humor and an understanding that goes beyond the conventional understanding. According to Coolidge, their relationship is incomprehensible to anybody else. It was made clear in an interview with the Irish Times that Coolidge's purpose was never to demonize Kristofferson, as she mentioned in her book, Delta Lady, that she had discussed the challenges that they faced in their marriage. Rather than that, she made an effort to talk about her experiences without harboring any negative emotions or animosity whatsoever. It was not long until Kristofferson made his arrival. In 1983, he tied the knot with attorney Lisa Myers, and ever since then, their marriage has been the most consistent and long-lasting relationship he has ever had. There are a total of 5 children that they have, and their names are Jesse, Jody, Johnny, Kelly, and Blake. All of their children were born between the years 1984 and 1994. Between their residences in Malibu, California, and Maui, Hawaii, the family divides their time between the 2 locations. Kristofferson had been battling with depression and alcoholism for a number of years before Myers helped him alter his life and profession. Myers is noted for his assistance in this endeavor. Throughout his career, she has never left his side, working with him on songs and accompanying him on his stage performances. The marriage that Kristofferson has described as being the longest and most successful has lasted for over 40 years. The challenge that Kristofferson faced, on the other hand, was far more challenging. To ensure his survival, he had to engage in a struggle against an unknown ailment. Illness and death are both possibilities. Throughout his long and illustrious career, the well-known musician and actor Kris Kristofferson has been confronted with a great number of major health issues. Health challenges. The more he got older, the more obvious his health problems were. He had several wrong diagnoses, and it took a long time to figure out what caused his incapacitating symptoms. Memory loss and cognitive impairments were symptoms that Kristofferson began to encounter in the latter part of the 2000s. Because of these changes, his medical team concluded that he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease in the year 2013. Because Alzheimer's disease is a degenerative neurological ailment that irreversibly destroys memory and cognitive functions, Kristofferson and his family were taken aback by the diagnosis. Over several years, Kristofferson was treated for a condition that was thought to be Alzheimer's disease. He was given a variety of drugs and treatments to ameliorate his symptoms. On the other hand, his condition did not considerably improve, which led his wife, Lisa Myers, to speculate that there could be another factor contributing to his health problems. Myers decided in 2016 to seek a second doctor's opinion about Kristofferson's symptoms after years of ambiguity surrounding the latter's condition. A comprehensive evaluation of Kristofferson's symptoms was carried out by the newly appointed physician, who also suggested several tests, one of which was a Lyme disease test. Kristofferson and his family were caught aback when they learned that the test results suggested Lyme illness rather than Alzheimer's disease, which was what they had first believed the findings to imply. Myers thought that Kristofferson became infected with Lyme disease anywhere from 14 to 30 years earlier, most likely during the production of the film Disappearances in the Vermont Woods in the year 2006. According to Myers, who was interviewed by Lime Times, the diagnosis of fibromyalgia ought to have resulted in the testing for Lyme disease. This is something that Myers highlighted in retrospect. Because he continues to have muscular spasms, which are a symptom that is often linked with Lyme disease, he may have been infected with the sickness for a period that ranges from 14 to 30 years. Immediately after receiving his diagnosis, he was subjected to several therapies, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy and transcranial magnetic stimulation, which were directed to the frontal lobe of his brain. Furthermore, in addition to taking doxycycline, he was given antibiotic injections, which were administered to his muscles. According to Closer Weekly, his friend and fellow composer Kris also expressed his support for the singer by comparing his recovery to the resurrection of Lazarus and calling it as amazing by comparing it to the artist's recovery. It has been increasingly apparent over the previous 6 years that after medical specialists determined that Alzheimer's disease was not the cause of his health, there was a discernible shift in his condition. The memory loss and cognitive issues that Kristofferson had been experiencing for over a decade started to improve, which enabled him to regain a significant portion of the mental sharpness and vigor that he had previously possessed once again. Kris is as cognitively bright as he was 20 years ago, according to a close friend who shared this information with Closer in 2016. Additionally, his wife Lisa, together with their 8 children, now sees a new side of Kris. Myers underlined that it is a great feat in contemporary medicine, and he mentioned that he had been prescribed several drugs for ailments that he did not have, each of which had its own set of adverse consequences. Myers saw a significant improvement in his health after getting a determination that he was suffering from Lyme disease and after receiving the right treatment from medical professionals. As a result of the fact that he sometimes gives the impression of being in perfect condition, his health problems are often overlooked, he added. Unaware that he was approaching the end of his life, Kristofferson found a newfound sense of tranquility and reflection as his health improved and the weight of uncertainty lifted. The decision to retire from the music and film industries was taken by Kristofferson in January 2021. A trusted acquaintance of Kristofferson's disclosed that the musician was no longer up to the rigors of touring and was instead intent on streamlining his family's financial situation by liquidating his possessions. Years of touring were beginning to take their toll on the famed actor and singer-songwriter. Nearing his 87th birthday, Kristofferson started to talk more openly about the truth of aging. Kristofferson was now ready to talk about the difficulties he had in his twilight years after being a public figure for so long. He planned for his family's future security since he was worried about getting sick or getting older. His careful financial preparations demonstrated his desire to alleviate his family's financial burdens so that they would continue to receive support in the event of his untimely demise. At the age of 88, Kristofferson died away on the 28th of September 2024 in his home on the island of Maui. Kristofferson felt a true appreciation for the life he had led and the music he had made as he reflected on the influence he had left behind. Being modest helped him realize that he needed to be determined, resolute, and committed to his work if he was going to make it on his trip. The power of art to speak to people across decades and influence their lives is undeniable. His music was an inspiration to millions. Although Kristofferson did not consider fame or fortune to be his primary goal in life, he achieved considerable financial success as a result of his musical and acting undertakings. His art has sustained success and broad popularity, as evidenced by his estimated net worth of about $50 million. Kristofferson found more value in the emotional and spiritual satisfaction he received from knowing that his music had a profound impact on other people than in his money. He believed that the bond and love he had established with his supporters were more important than material success or public acclaim. Knowing that his music would have a lasting impact on listeners and preserve his creative vision alive long after he had retired from performing was a source of solace for Kristofferson. Despite his untimely demise, Kristofferson continued to have a significant impact on the music industry. Willie Nelson, a close friend of his, broke some terrible news after his demise. What is this? Let's continue to explore Willie Nelson's shocking revelation about Kristofferson. A surprising and deeply moving remark regarding Kristofferson, one of the finest songwriters of all time, was made by Willie Nelson during an interview. While thinking about country music greats like Hank Williams and Merle Haggard, Nelson emphasized Kristofferson's enormous influence. Nelson counted Kristofferson among the esteemed group of artists who had an impact on the genre, including Billy Joe Shaver. Because of their long-lasting relationship and shared interest in the music industry, Nelson holds Kristofferson in high esteem. One thing that sets these two artists apart from the rest is their ability to convey real emotions via their music. Famous for classics like Crazy, originally named Stupid, Nelson gave Kristofferson credit for his work. While talking about his accomplishments, the modest Nelson brought out the fact that even though Crazy and Funny How Time Slips Away are classics, he and others still find inspiration in the music of musicians like Kristofferson. Their mutual regard highlights the profound bonds formed over many years of creating music that touches generations. Thank you for watching. Please your comment to us know. Like, subscribe, and click the next video button on your screen if you liked this one.